Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rokas, so I'm moderating this panel on bootstrapping and scaling, growing a business from ground up to the top. I have three distinguished panelists. All three of them entrepreneurs. All three of them started their business around 2007, before the financial crash, which is probably the worst time to start a business. The first gentleman that I have from my left is Shameem Hameed. He is a founder and CEO of ZH Healthcare based in McLean, Virginia. ZH Healthcare is a developer and consultancy service that addresses the needs of medical providers and patients around the world. ZH Healthcare is also the foremost developer of the most popular open source EMR solution, OpenEMR, that is used in over 300,000 locations in 180 countries in 36 languages, serving potentially 600 million patients. Welcome. The next panelist is Sumit Bhatnagar in the middle. He's a co-founder and managing partner of GreenBrilliance, based out of Reston, Virginia. GreenBrilliance is a vertically integrated end-to-end alternate energy services provider. The goal of the company is to provide clean, renewable solar energy at an affordable pricing. And all the way at the end there, we got Praba Murugaiah. He's a founder and CEO of TechFetch, techfetch.com, out of Ashburn, Virginia. TechFetch is a fast-growing technology jobs platform reaching 6,000 IT companies and 2.9 million technology professionals every year. Annually, it helps 300,000 tech professionals find jobs. So we have three distinguished gentlemen from the Silicon Valley of the East Coast, Northern Virginia. So the first question that I'm going to ask all three of you, and Praba, if you can start from that side, what made you to get into your business, and what makes you get excited in the morning?
Thank you. Before I answer the question, I would like to ask a question to all the audience participants. How many of you are entrepreneurs or want to be an entrepreneur? Pretty much everyone, right? That's the power of entrepreneurship. I have a question to all of you again. Who is an entrepreneur? Yeah. Who's an entrepreneur? Why is he a visionary? Is he a leader? Or is a job creator? Or is a disruptive thinker? Who is an entrepreneur? Any answers? You're all saying that you're an entrepreneur, right? Why you are an entrepreneur? What makes you an entrepreneur? What makes an entrepreneurship? Trying new things. Any other answer? I just want to make it a little more interactive, yes. Willing to take a risk? Any other answer? No salary. No salary. Any other? No boss. What's that? Passion. See, if you put all of them, everything is right for an entrepreneur. So when the day you start your entrepreneurship journey, when you are creating your first business card, founder and CEO, that proud, right? The CEO means not Chief Executive Officer, Chief Everything Officer. That's the way we start. So first, I would like to thank American Bazaar and all of you to come today, take the time to be part of that entrepreneurship journey for only one thing, improving quality of life for everyone. By sacrificing our time, again, by sacrificing our time, we are creating and improving quality of life for everyone, including American Bazaar taking a time to build this entrepreneurship summit. So give a big applause for making this event highly successful on this weekend. Thank you. I think that's the answer to my question, why I want to be an entrepreneur.
My question was, what made you get into this business?
I want to improve the quality of life for millions of people to find jobs easily. That's the reason I started this journey.
Great, thank you. Sumit? The question is, what made you to get into this business?
This can be a very broad question, actually. A lot of people may have a completely different view on why you would want to be an entrepreneur. I believe everyone in this room is an entrepreneur, be it you work for somebody else or not. In different flavors of your life, different times of your day, you have an entrepreneurial skill. Why I started was very simple. A lot of panelists before us have mentioned it in various different flavors, why they wanted to be in business, why they wanted to start companies. Some wanted to be independent, some wanted to not work for somebody else. People wanted to give up their regular jobs because they wanted flexibility from their families, many other responsibilities and things like that. But I am in a very interesting business space, which is renewable energy, which is something that you can emotionally relate to environment and sustainability and greenhouse and emissions and all that great stuff. So there can be many reasons why somebody in renewable space would want to be an entrepreneur. But I have two reasons. One is, of course, bringing clean energy and all the greenhouse emissions and all that great stuff that we all hear about, clean tech, and make our lives better, our generations better, and perhaps the generations which are going to follow us better. So that's one primary reason. The second reason is the one that resonates with every entrepreneur or every panelist who are here, is to do something on your own which makes a difference, and not for oneself, but a difference for the families of people who are associated with you, and so on. It's a chain effect, which you may or may not realize as an entrepreneur, but you are affecting several lives every day in the morning. So when you get up in the morning, what gets into your head is, what else or how else can you do things right so that you can continue to make that positive difference, or continue to extend that support to the folks that you are already doing, or you can extend that even better.
Great. Thank you, Sumit. And Shameem?
Thank you, Rokas, for moderating this panel, and thank you, Business American Bazaar, for putting this together. Can you hear me? Oh, good. I was just thanking the organizers, so nothing precious was said anyway. First of all, apologize for my voice. I'm a little under the weather, so sorry.
Thanks for sitting next to me.
Yeah. I refuse to shake your hand. So one of my friends, I'm going to quote him about why we become entrepreneurs. It's a strong need to abuse oneself, self-flagellation. If you really look at it, I wonder why people would want to do this thing, because it's the scariest thing that you can ever do. You are in a place where you have no security. You're constantly anxious about what's going to happen. Some people have a vision about what they need to do, but they don't know whether their vision is true or not, yet they jump. And that itself, the thrill that comes out of doing that sort of thing is my reward. And I'm not going to go ahead and say that I'm doing it for the public good or any of that sort. It's like, it's a selfish thing. You know, I want to feel alive. I want to know every day when I go to the office, I want to do something new. that could benefit somebody. Of course, if it benefits somebody, then I get paid. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay. And that's what led me to start approximately 7 companies over 20 years in 3 continents. So that's the answer, you know.
Great. Thanks, Shameem. My second question would be, which is what everyone wants to know, and it's the most hardest probably thing when you're an entrepreneur, right? When you start a company, how do you make your first sale? So, Praba, if you can, maybe you still remember that.
I would put it in a different way. You don't want to sell. You want your customer, or you want to make your customer to buy. So the moment nobody wants to, have somebody to come and sell. So if you find a problem, mostly the first set of customers are your known people, where you can get brutal feedback to make the product market fit. It will have, when you are going to make the first sale, you need a friendly customer, even they are not paying, who are willing to put some time and give an advice. So my first customer is basically an earned customer. So I went and gave them the product, asked them to take a try, and they tried it, and they liked it, and they don't want to pay what I intend to get it, but being a known person, he is willing to give a try and be a first customer. And there is a emotional thing attached to it that you are able to make your first sale. So you need to go to a person who really want to help you to buy. So I would take that. If it's a small thing, that could happen, but if it's a large thing, it may be a different, but that's, I think outside the bigger thing. Yeah.
So what you're saying, you have to build a relationship with your first.
Yeah, everyone, we have our own set of network where usually when you're building a product, this product is going to be used by this set of customers, maybe 1,000, maybe 100, maybe 10,000. You pick up that first 10 customers who are likely to be your prospective customer. On that 10 customers, 1 or 2 should be your own network and relationship. So you go and sell them and get the real feedback, make them as an example to go further. So that was my experience.
Thank you, Prabha. Sumit, your first sale, how did you make it?
Actually, to answer this question effectively, I should be quickly, in 30 seconds, telling you exactly what I do, what my company is. GreenBrilliance is a company which is over a few continents. We are a vertically integrated solar energy company. What that means is I have a factory that makes solar panels, manufactures solar panels back in India, in the western part of the country in Gujarat. We manufacture panels and then sell them to about 9 countries today, export out of India. One of the imports are in America. And then I have office here where we do engineering and installation of solar panels on homes, businesses, farms, whatever you may call it, wherever the requirements are. And then I have a few offices in Europe and then a few more in India to cover the domestic market in the country. So that's the current status of the snapshot of the business. But back in 2007 when I started, I didn't have the factory. So the question was, I want to do a solar business, right? Which means I want to install solar panels on homes. And as not sure if a lot of people are kind of aware of what this business is, but it's a capital heavy business. Solar panels and just the equipment per se is more than 70-80% of the ticket on a project. So when you have to install solar panels on somebody's home, how do you do that? I'm not a roofer, I'm not an electrician, I'm an engineer, but nothing close to doing solar engineering. I probably don't even know what engineering I am anymore, because I just graduated as an engineer, and after that, I have nothing to do with engineering. I can understand what some engineers would talk, so I can tell them that if you're asking me to turn left, that is a wrong turn. That's all I can do, perhaps. But Interestingly, from that point, when I wanted to get into solar, my first customer was a challenge. I could become my own first customer. Like the last panelist mentioned that they would go do a system for free for somebody. That's a simple thing to do. You can do it for free if you can afford it. Everybody here wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to do something to the first customer, and the customer says, who are you, right? And why should I even get you to do anything for me? And you say, I want to do it for free. And they'll say, oh, be my guest, please. Everybody wants free money. So why not? So why not do it on your own home? Maybe, right? That didn't work. I live in Virginia, and HOA in Virginia is very conservative. There are HOA laws which are very conservative. So back in 2007, I fought for an year with my own HOA to put solar panels on my own home, and I still don't have them. So I started to find friends who would say, you know what, I live in Virginia, I don't have any HOA nonsense, right? So you can go ahead and put something on my home. I had a lot of friends who told me, yeah, you want to do it for free for me? Just do it, I want it. Anybody would like it. But I found a friend.
So you remember your first paying customer?
Yes. And interestingly, the first paying customer was somebody for whom we did it at cost. So we told them that we'll do a system for you, and it's going to cost you, but I will not take a single penny away from it. It's all yours. But I do it, you reap the benefits for the rest of your life, and I'll reap the benefits for my rest of my life, right?
Did that first customer send you referrals?
They did, yes. But more than them sending referrals, I used that as my referral. So I reached out to people and took pictures of that one install from maybe 1 million angles, right? And then marketed it. But that was just one piece of installing a solar panel in a home in Burke, Virginia. That was our first home, I think, right? But then that was a very small portion of the business that I had to build, because that was the topmost level in the entire vertical integration. I had to build a factory, which there's a long way to go between those two ends. So then building the factory was a different story, and finding a customer for my solar panels produced in the factory was a completely different beast. I traveled many places in the world selling pitching myself, and China was the biggest producer of solar panels. They were dumping panels. They were, as usual, out, very competitive, extremely competitive, I would say, aggressively competitive. Nobody wanted to buy anything to do with India. Who makes solar panels in India? Nobody knew about this fact. So first getting into the door by saying, hey, I'm a panel manufacturer and I'm from India, I'm not from China. The whole idea was that, wait a minute, do you really? Who are you? That's the question. So I was in Europe, in Italy, talking to one of the customers, as many I talked to. And this one customer said, I have bought solar panels from China for the last 10 years, and I will never do it again because I got burnt and lots of things happened to them, right? So I said, if you give me the panels that you are talking about, all the great stuff that you're talking about your panels, if you give it to me and you promise this, what you're saying, I will buy. So that's how I got my first customer in Europe.
Great story. Thank you, Sumit. Shameem, do you remember your first customer, first sale?
I'll share 4 instances with you, right, in 4 different companies. So I went to Saudi Arabia to sell software. They don't have any tax audit or income tax or anything. They don't really care about software. So it was like, I'm selling to the wrong market. So the previous week prior to going to Saudi Arabia, I had a motorbike accident and my knees were in a really bad situation. So landing in Saudi Arabia, I don't have a driver's license. And just like in the US, you need a driver's license to get from point A. You don't have buses. So I remember standing by the side of the road with a briefcase with an arrow shirt and all, looking snappy and dazzled with a limp. And so there were these cabs which will carry Indian laborers. So there were like 8 people in one car. And so I got into that, and I went to Jubail, which was the industrial area where they had a lot of companies. And I literally walked in the hot sun from company to make the sale. So that was the first instance. The second one was in the US. I started a transcription company long ago, which I sold eventually. Legal transcription company. So looked up all the legal transcriptionists in the DC area. They had a membership association. I went there saying that I wanted to be a legal transcriptionist. So they gave me all the forms and all the companies I can go and work with. And then I emailed blasted them. And what happened was, so I email blasted everybody in the list, and they started talking to each other. And unfortunately for them, I was in one of their BCCs or CCs, and they were talking to each other like, who is this guy? He's like blasting everybody and saying he's going to work for, at cost and at very low rate and all that. But eventually, so I replied to that email saying that, guys, I'm still here, right? And one of them felt sorry or embarrassed, so he called me and said, I'll give you some work. So that's another incident. I'll restrict myself to the third story. So the third one was with a medical billing business, which I started, which eventually converted to the technology business. So on the medical billing side, so when we first went out and started to sell, we don't have any history. We haven't done anything before. So we went to this doctor, he was a chiropractor, and we started bullshitting them, pardon the French. So we said, oh, we have done this before. Oh, I need your references. So I gave them the references of 2 people who were actually working for me and their home numbers. They called them, and these people gave them a good reference, and then we got the business. So point is, you have to be really creative. You have to be willing to put the hard work, walk in the sun with a limp and riding a car with 8 people. Going back to my initial point, it's a severe need to abuse oneself is what gets you into this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Shameem. The next question is, when you start a business, when you're small, the most important thing is, outside making the sales, building some key relationships, right? Key partnerships. Can you, Praba, tell about some of your partnerships that you built over the years in the beginning that helped you to accelerate in the future?
So building a partnership is the most difficult part. First, you need a customer base, user base. Being a technology jobs platform, it's a marketplace. We have to bring a lot of candidates. It's like chicken and egg situation. You need to bring a lot of candidates to attract companies to come and post jobs. You need a lot of jobs to attract a lot of candidates. So it's a very, very critical activity that we need to ongoing build. On top of it, channel partnership or bringing any strategic partnership is a lot more difficult. One key thing, anybody wants to buy from you, you don't want to sell, or they don't want you to sell anything to them. To make them buy, you need to create a very, very high value proposition that they cannot restrict, they cannot say no to it. So one of the key strategic partnership that it took probably about 3.5 years for us to get into the relationship. There is an organization called TECNA, Technology Council of North America, which actually represents about 50 tech councils across the country. And all of them are non-profit organization, and we are a profit entity. And all these tech councils combined 26,000 technology companies as their member companies. We are a talent acquisition partner, exclusive talent acquisition partner for them. So that's a 3 years relationship that we got. Why did they chose us to be their technology platform? So when we went to these non-profit organization, they have members, all their membership companies, every technology company, they are in need of people. Talent is in huge demand, and they have member companies and they don't have a job board to support them. So we went, they didn't have an idea that they can have a job board to support their members. So we went and pitched them that we could help their member companies find people through our system, which will be a membership benefit for the technology council. So you have to go and give a big value proposition. Hey, you can retain your membership. You can get more membership by having us as your partner. Today, we are powering the job channel for Georgia Tech Council, Arizona Tech Council, Ohio Tech Council, Alabama Tech Council, Tennessee Tech Council, and we are working on a lot of other things. So the key takeaway from the partnership is you have to go and create a significant value for person. Either it could be a customer, could be a user, or it could be a partnership. Then you have a winning game.
Sumit, key partnerships in the beginning.
I would say it is, as you all know, it's impossible to start or run a business all by yourself. As one man, you can never run a business. And partnership is a loose word. It can be, it has a huge range. You have partnership. Every entrepreneur has this great partnership starting at home, right? If your spouse is not a good partner, you cannot run this business, period. Be it your husband or wife, it doesn't matter, right? So that's one partnership starting right from home. And then I think the second key partnership is your people who work for you. If they're not good partners for you, you'll probably see your folks just working for the paycheck. You want people to work for your vision, not the paycheck. Then it doesn't work that way. So your second most key partners are all, the first two key partners are inside you, the first, before you even get to your customer. And then comes the partners to run the business. And that's when, to grow exponentially, or at least reach out exponentially, you need partners. You can probably run to 2 places a day, meet 2 customers a day, but if you have a group of people you are meeting for that meeting, you're meeting actually 10 people in that one meeting. So that's a partnership. And that's exactly what these partnerships are that every entrepreneur normally looks for, that they need to associate themselves with groups or partners who would stand with them when the problem comes, right? And that is the key. When everything is great, you have many partners. The true partnership matters when a problem comes. When the things are not great, who stands behind you is the real partner, which is extremely difficult to identify as an entrepreneur because you are vulnerable. You want partners. Anybody who says who want to be your partner, you want a partner. And you have no choice at that point. If somebody says, yes, I would like to be with you, you cannot be there's no choice. You would say, yeah, sure, join the bandwagon, right?
Right. Well said, Sumit. What about Shameem, yourself?
No, I agree with my panelists. You have to, I don't think there's any question whether partnership is important. It is, right? Everybody knows that. The question is, how do we find the right partners? That's the important thing because, again, I'm sitting here with so much of experience, and when these questions come, all these memories are cascading down about all the stupid things I have done in my life, I'm sorry to say. And partnerships are one of them. So when I started one of my companies 13 years ago, I took a great partner. He was my first cousin, 16 years younger than me. I had literally carried him around. He's my father's brother's son. Turned out to be the best thing I did. He is, all my investors call him the rock star of the company. He's the CEO who runs the company in India. But along with that, I have had so much of bad experiences. So going back in 1989, I started 2 companies. I always start 2 companies at the same time. So, insecurity, you can say. So one was a stockbroking business, and India was just turning to become all this computerized and NSC and everything was just coming up. And I was a member of a regional stock exchange in Cochin, and we were doing really high turnover. And then we all wanted to group together and become a member of the National Stock Exchange. So we had to invest like 1 crore Indian rupees at that time. And then eventually we took the membership in the Bombay Stock Exchange for another 4 crores, and then we became the OTCI. Eventually the company grew to be like 300 locations across India, and then we finally ended up selling it to Motilal Oswal. Now, it could have done much more. You know, at the time we were thinking of selling, we already had an offer from Bank Paribas from Paris, right? And it went to one of my competitors, and that was because the partners within the company did not have anybody bounce a check on me. So that's what's happening there. So it was, you know, and I keep telling some of my brothers and people who come to me, I say, that one company alone was enough to make me a billionaire if I had done it in the US. The other thing, after coming to the US, somebody represented to me, this guy was the biggest private equity guy that people have known, and all that. Long story short, I was stupid. I said, okay, you become the shareholder. I did not even have the experience or the knowledge to see how to make somebody a partner, how the shares should vest, because I had no idea about it. Back to the question is, how would we know? And somebody in the earlier panel said, get some advisors. Again, for me, I did not know anybody in the US. I came here 13 years ago with a briefcase. I had nobody. I did not know anyone. I found a roommates.com. I found a room. I just came here, went directly to the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority and said, hey, I'm here to start a business. So I couldn't get an advisor. So I had to learn all these things. So even today, I'm saying, you know, if any of you want to start a business, get an advisor. I'd be happy to advise you, because I have so much of stupid mistakes that I have made. I can tell you that don't do this. I can't tell you do this, but I can tell you don't do this. So,
Great. So we have a free mentor right here. So,
seriously.
So Shameem, a follow-up question. You came to this country with nothing, and now you're running a multi-million-dollar in revenue business. What do you wish you had known before you had started your business?
A lot of things. You know, I mean, like how to get myself funded. Right now, today, I think this panel is sitting here to tell you how to bootstrap, and we haven't asked any question about bootstrapping yet. But, you know, if I knew how to do that, how to go and make a pitch. You know, this is the latest stupidity that I did last year. We have to make a presentation to BCs, right? And you have to make a pitch deck. First time I heard about the pitch deck was 2 years ago. I haven't heard of a pitch deck. You know, all this business, all these countries, I haven't heard of pitch deck. And people will say, oh, we will make a pitch deck for you for $60,000. I said, sounds good. You know, $60,000, we'll pitch it, we'll get hundreds of millions of dollars in funding, great. And then I start collecting information. I found out that pitch deck is not a big deal. If you know what exactly you're going to do, it's 7-8 slides. You sit down and tell your story very cogently. Of course, a little bit of work is to be done in the financial modeling. So these kind of things, you know, I actually contracted with somebody to pay them $30,000 to get me a pitch deck. And you know what? He was coming and asking me, what do I put in this slide? What do I put in this slide? Even the images, I had to give it to him, and I'm like, really?
So you basically done the whole thing yourself.
Right, that's what I ended up doing.
And paid someone else.
A PR company, we hired a PR company. Everybody thinks PR company is very important, right? They don't do anything for you. They come initially, and the senior girl person comes, sits with you and says, we are going to do this, we did this, we did that company. Afterwards, I am put with an intern, and she is handling my account. I fired their ass, sorry. And that's what's happening in every single sector. There are people out there to take your money, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There are people out there to take your money, because we think, oh, we are in the US, these are all professional people. No, they are not. You know, if you have the big money, and if you are an Apple, you will get the really professional people. Otherwise, be very careful with your money. They are ready to take it away. So that's you know, there's a lot of things.
Great advice. Praba, how did you distinguish yourself in the beginning from the competition? You know, there's so much competition in that sector. You know, you have LinkedIn, you have Career Builder, Monster, I mean, you name it. I mean, right now you kind of can distinguish yourself because you have a very unique business model and you're kind of in a niche business. But in the beginning, you know, when you were growing, how you were distinguishing yourself?
So usually I get this question pretty much 3-4 times a day. I'm answering this for the last 8 years. So I'm happy to answer very easily. Every business, there are already competitors. Nothing is new. If you take cars, there are several brands. If any business, you take anything, from phone to pen to paper, anything, there are a lot of competitors. So how do you differentiate yourself? With respect to our technology-specific job boards, still there are a lot of job boards there. So what is the problem that we are trying to solve? That should be your core value. Any business that you do, any product that you, what is your core value proposition which is solving the problem that exists today? Most of the job sites, they do search, right? There is a search button either to go and search for a job, or there is a search button for searching resumes. So what we did was we built a technology, call it fetch, right? When you say fetch, it's basically playing with a puppy. You throw a ball, the puppy will fetch you the ball back. So you don't need to actually search. So the technology what we have built, you throw a resume, our tech fetch puppy will go and fetch you the job. You throw a job, the puppy will fetch you the resumes. So I built a demo on my mobile. I go to anybody, I'll say that, what kind of people are you looking for? Hey, I'm looking for a SharePoint developer. I just send a demo at techfetch.com, a SharePoint developer in an email. It goes and then come back with 5-10 resumes. See, this is how it works. I don't have a brochure till today. I don't have the PowerPoint presentation to explain my product till today. And I have, you know, when we started, like every other company, we started with 0 jobs, 0 resumes, 0 recruiters. We have 6,000 companies, we bring 300,000 jobs, and we deliver 7 million applications today. So it is a journey. Always it will be a journey. There will be a lot of mistakes. But to answer the specific question, unless you have a core differentiation, and if you are not able to articulate your core differentiation in a layman manner, you don't want to explain how the technology works, how the algorithm works, what is the statistical modeling behind that. It has to be very easy to explain a 4th grade kid. Then you have a winner. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Praba. Sumit, you're in the manufacturing and, you know, solar panel installations, right? Broad sector. From your business, do you remember the biggest mistake that you made in your business?
Well, several, you know, and we keep making mistakes every day. But I think the key is that we should not make the same mistake the second day. We can make one mistake every day, and that's the way to success. But anyway, to answer what mistakes we made, we could have initially jumped into doing certain systems on homes, perhaps without understanding all the little things required to be done, you know, all the policies or the procedures, and then we fumbled. But you know, it's a calculated risk, and we understand how we take those baby steps and do it. So mistakes happen, but we are very analytical. The approach of the company is very analytical, and unless I have a iteratively incremental approach, we don't go forward. So the chances are that my mistakes are not don't get to a point where it becomes too painful or there is no point of return, and we sort of operate in those parameters, just to make sure that we are protected in what we are doing, because we play in a solar business. We play with very, very high dollar tickets, so you cannot you don't have that luxury to make a mistake and and then say, oh, wait a minute, I've spent a few $1 million and let me fix this. It doesn't happen that way. So we have to be extremely careful. And we applied that philosophy to even a $20,000 job that we would do. A small, doesn't matter, but it has now become a part of your thought process. And that's how we do our works.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. So my last question would be for the panel. How did you get funded? What creative strategies did you use to execute on minimal cash flows? As a banker, we have coming in entrepreneurs every single day, and unfortunately, you have no history, you have no cash flow, and conventional ways, very hard for banks to fund these kind of ventures. So I'm sure the audience would like to hear from each of you. How did you start it? Where did the bank help you? Was there private equity? Did you have your own money? And we can go ahead and start with you.
The reason I wanted to take this is because I have a very interesting story on that lines. As you can imagine, you get up one day and you say we want to do a solar business, which costs a lot of money, and I know nothing about solar. All I've seen is some solar panels on roofs in Germany. And
Did you have a dream?
no, I used to travel for my work before starting the business, and in Europe I used to see a lot of solar panels. I had some discussions, and of course it was intriguing, and news and media and research, everything said go solar, So I was like, all right, let's think through, and started to talk with many people. Everybody was intrigued by the idea. People are still intrigued by the idea if I tell them that, do solar. And then there was this traditional word of advice from pretty much everybody who was potentially successful in different shapes or forms, that go and build a nice business plan. It should look a good business plan. All right, we'll do that. And we spent several nights, days, whatnot, build a beautiful business plan, literally. I mean, it was pretty. With pictures, details, finances, costs, vendors, research. That was crazy research, right? Because we were very analytical, right? We built this plan, and then I started to reach out. So the next word of advice was now reach out to investors with your business plan. So we did that. I started to write emails to every venture capital in the face of this country, and nobody responded. But one gentleman, I still remember his name, Jim Carr. I don't know if you document this on the news, he might call me back now. But Jim Carr from New York was a VC who sent me an email saying, one line, call me. Oh my God, this is awesome. I think we have all the money now, we're good. So I called him, and he said, I saw your proposal, looks good. See me tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'm like, I don't live in New York, so it'll take me a while to get there. It's like, can you see me at 2 o'clock? Yes or no? This is exactly, literally how he was talking to me on the phone. I mean, the arrogance level was extremely high, right? And I'm like, of course, you asked me to see you at 4 o'clock in the morning, I will see you at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I prepared all night on what the hell am I going to tell him, and how am I going to talk, how am I going to tell him, blow his mind off on what my proposal was. I prepared myself all the way 4 hours drive to New York, and I get into this seriously fancy office in New York. That conference room where I was put up I could see the Statue of Liberty, so it was serious stuff there. It was scary, actually, I was kind of scared to see, what is this thing? And then this guy comes in, he walks in, asks my name, who are you, what do you do, have you done this before? It was a rapid fire, right? Did you write this proposal? Are you sure? Like, yeah. Um, I get such proposals in truckloads every day. So I only wanted to get you here to see your face because this is a beautiful proposal. Thank you, you're done. And literally, we were done. He walked away. He said, good luck. So I'm like, Jim, would you like to listen to me maybe an hour or 30 seconds, whatever? I came 4 hours, 5 hours. It's like, there was a little bottle of water there. It's like, why don't you have this water? So he said, finish this water. And that'll give you about 30, 40 seconds. I can stay that much in this room. So I drank as slow as I could, but he was there in a hurry. He had no intentions to talk to me. And then he said, this is paper. This proposal is paper. And I get so many of these, it is trash value. The value of this proposal has no meaning. When you have put up a solar factory and would have produced your first panel, come to me. I'll fund you. So then I said, then Jim, why would I come to you? Right? When I would have already done it. It's like, well, that's your choice. But unless you have made your first panel, I don't believe in this proposal. This is paper. And he walked away. And his secretary came in and said, do you want another bottle of water for your way back to Virginia? That's a long route. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll at least take one more glass of a bottle of water. And I left. And I kept thinking to myself on my way that what the hell happened here? It was like 15 minutes, all night, weeks of work, rehearsal, thinking in my head, all kinds of stuff, questions that I can answer. But what happened here? I mean, there was no opportunity, absolutely nothing. And then I thought, he's right. I mean, maybe this is how all the VCs talk. That was my first VC I talked to. And then I decided on my way back that I'm not going to talk to a VC ever. I don't care how much money you have. And I did not. And then I started on my own, started that one home in Berg, started to travel, went to India, talked to the banks and figured out how to dig the factory up. I built the factory ground up. And in 8 months, there was a press release from a company out of Boston. It's called Spire Corporation. It is one of the largest, oldest solar manufacturing machine-making company. And there was a press release that GreenBrilliance, Spire Corporation wins GreenBrilliance contract to deliver machines in India for the factory, right? And it was precisely a day or so after that press release that I get a call from Jim Carr.
Again?
Yes, he called me. And he left me a message that, this is Jim Carr, call me. That's all, right? So I was very happy to get that call, just for my ego. And I called him, I did call him. And I said, Jim, got your message, great to hear from you. It's like, hey, Sumit, I saw your press release. That's awesome. Do you want to come and meet me sometime in New York when you are free, when the schedule works for you? I'm like, I will let you know. But unfortunately, I'm not looking for funding. And he said, I wish you all the best. That's the answer I wanted to, I was hoping to hear from you. I did not call you to fund you. I just wanted to see, where are you headed here? And he remembered my number, name, whatever. He probably kept that proposal with him. Trash value, pretty much, right? But that's the key. And that's how you start. And there is a challenge every day. I have a challenge every day today, even today. But you have to just believe, anybody who is here in this audience who is an entrepreneur or wants to be an entrepreneur, heard enough about being an entrepreneur, right? You have heard of everybody's an entrepreneur. Everybody has done something. Everybody has a great success story, all kinds of great stuff. You just need 2 or 3 things. That's it. Just be optimistic, number 1. Continue to fail. It's okay. It's okay to fail. because unless you do that, there's no fun. You'll have to cry a few times, which is okay, right? So be optimistic, and second, only believe in your gut. The rest is nonsense. Believe me. Analysis is paralysis. It's not going to take you anywhere. Only believe in your gut and jump. You will never go wrong.
Great.
That's the bottom line.
Thank you, Sumit, for the words of wisdom. Shameem, you want to address your capital questions?
Well, like him, I don't believe that. Let me try to phrase this correctly. You need analysis. I'm sorry, but that's the fact. I mean, when you are producing something that people want, you need to understand if there is a market for you. And I remember some movie in which Gregory Peck and the other short guy, Danny DeVito, was acting, and in that, there was this sentence. He was addressing a big general meeting, and he said, "This company made the best whip in the West." It was great last century, but this century, the advent of cars, nobody needs whips. So you need to know your space. You need to know what you are producing for, who you are producing for. I'm sure you did not mean this way, yeah, but I'm just trying. I mean, if anybody took that message to mean that you shouldn't do any analysis, that's not right. You have to. Everything you do as an entrepreneur, you have to create value for your customer. Otherwise, nobody is going to take your stuff. Nobody is going to look at your face and say, "I like you, I'll give you money." No, that never happens. So, having said that, for me, most of the time, I have been turned away by banks. And we had to fund it ourselves. Personally, for me, fortunately, my parents had left me some landed property in India, and every time I start something, that goes as collateral. And the banks fund me in India. So far, nobody has funded me in the US, and that's a big story. So, and then you borrow with 16% interest in India, 16%, that's the latest now. And then you build off of that. And then, again, in the previous panel, somebody was saying, the customer wants to invest in your company. Generally, the customer is already investing in your company by giving you their order. So that's another way that I have done. So the first thing I clearly define, when I start something, I want to make it work at the smaller scale. If it works at the smaller scale, it will work at the macro scale. So I would try to break even at the lower scale. I'm not looking for companies that needs a high critical mass to make a profit. So that's one thing that I have consistently done. Now the latest company, and some people ask me, why did you start so many companies? And many people are proud to say, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm not. I did not set out to be a serial entrepreneur. I just did not find the passion in the companies that I already started. So start something, it works, it makes money, but no, that's not what I want to do, so I move on. So the latest thing that we have done is it is in a great space. It is scalable. Like I said, some numbers that I threw out, hundreds of millions of patients can come in there. The valuation of the company currently is also at $100 million plus. So that's all good. So now I'm actually thinking of going towards venture capitalists. So I'll make it short. So there are, in the face of a company, each level determines where you get your funding from. So if you're starting, you start with the friends and family, you get some money, you start with that. Then the next level, you get angel investors, which can be even your father can be your angel investor. Seed investor, mezzanine capital, A series, B series, it goes on. So the good thing about this country is everything is set. You have a great ecosystem, and this is what sometimes I feel sad and sometimes I feel happy, because I feel sad. I should have started my career in the US, instead of coming here after 12 years. But I'm happy that now that I'm in the US, now I am in this ecosystem. So in every stage, there are people willing to give you money. You have to find them and you have to present it to them. And that's the best thing. Understand one thing as entrepreneurs, just remember this. They need you more than you need them. At this stage, there is so much money out there. They are looking to invest and they are looking to get good returns. They are not happy with the 1% the bank gives them. So don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself, and I understand that you went and met Carr. I would have done the same thing, but remember, Carr needed him more than he needed Carr. That's a fact. It's like when you go to the movies, why are the big movie stars being paid $50 million? Because they bring in the audience, and they are looking for superstars like that. Every venture capitalist, every fund in this country or anywhere else is looking for superstars. And they are all, they are also very insecure. Like, this guy is calling this poor man to go there at a short notice for what? Just to exercise his authority? Those are very small people, but there would be some great people who will be ready to listen to you. But like in every case, you have to kiss so many frogs to find your prince. And at the same time, again, repetition, cliche, believe in what you do, believe very strongly what you're doing is right. Again, if you think you're making a mistake, pivot. Pivot means change course. That's the biggest thing. So again, big business plans are good. They're a pathway, but they are not a rigor. You don't have to really be attuned to that. Whenever you see there's a mistake, you pivot and you turn, you adjust the sales, and then you go. Some companies started out as something, ended up as something completely different. It's possible. That's why you're entrepreneurs, you're creative. You have to do that. So long story short, different funding sources at different stages. You can be creative. There's a lot out there. You have to find it.
Great. Thank you, Shameem, and confidence is a key, of course. Praba?
I'll make it a little bit short. Usually the entrepreneurship journey starts from home. And the first investment is your time. I started my company when I was 35. I have a $100,000 plus job, and I told my wife that I want to quit my job and start this company. This is what I'm trying to do. Are you crazy? Right? Why you want to kill yourself? You like your job, you love your job, you do. Many entrepreneurs, when I ask the first question, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? No, I don't like my job. That's a bad answer, right? So in my case, I love what I was doing, but when I'm quitting my job, I'm going to lose my $120,000 revenue, salary. But I convinced my wife that, give me 2 years. If I don't see a meaningful progress in 2 years, I will go back to the job. Instead of retiring in 65, I will retire in 67, but give me that 2 years now. That was my way of convincing her, and she said, okay. So that was my first investment, 2 years, full-time. I quit my job, that $250,000, my time is my investment. And you probably seen a lot of Shark Tanks, right? So I created this proposal, not a fancy one. I reached out to some other people that I know. They asked the same question, like, you have competitors, they are 15 years in the business. All of them are are billion-dollar public companies. Are you going to win against them? But still, I believe in your statement. How much you want? I said, I just need a $50,000 seed money. And okay, I'll give me 45%. Real story. Then I told my wife that I don't know a lot of people to go and ask for money. Then we decided to use our life savings for last 8 years that been in the country. All 100% my life savings into the company, and I bootstrapped it. And it took me 18 months to get my first customer. And it took 18 months. I didn't sell it because I want to keep on building until I have the critical mass, because you have only one chance to go. Once you have, okay, I don't want to buy your product, you cannot go and convince them again. So you have to wait for the right time to make the customer buy. But more than everything, believe in it. Sometimes you need to know when you want to change the, like Samir mentioned, that change the course of action, because We will constantly make mistakes, and one of the biggest mistakes will be, I'll give in writing, one of the biggest mistake will be getting money from the wrong people. So think twice, thrice before you take even a single dollar from somebody. So that's my last piece of
Great.
it.
Thank you, Praba. So we're going to wrap up now. I want to thank our panelists. Indeed, there is really bootstrapping and scaling. There's no formula. You have to take risk, you have to be bold, and you have to have a key partnership, even if it means with your wife. So